Like as soon as I hit the live button, this thing decides to fall off. Oops, Daisy, wrong one. Scooch that out of the way. Bring that up. Why the heck is that down there? There. Yeah, we'll go one more thing and then. Okay, there we go. Hello, Kayla. So, for giggly gigglies, like on TikTok, there's like a posse of Christian. I call them he who fonts. Like they're going around on other people's videos and like doing like leaving comments or saying things like, "I command thee to come out of them in Christ's name" or whatever. Well, oopsie, one of them must have gotten tushy hurt because I told him something like, here, let me pull up exact. Well, yeah, kind of trolling. I mean, they say the best way to beat a troll is to troll them just as hard, if not more. So, hold me wine glass. This is precisely what I commented. Here we go. So, Emma whomever, because that was part of the person's name. So, Emma whomever, I'd love to see your BS degree saying you can demand others exercise. Troll face, laughing emoji, like hysterical laughing emoji. BS degree, remember, that's your biblical studies degree. But still, it's also the BS degree. Do you happen to have your degree in BSery? You don't? Stick it. So that was the comment I made. Then out of the blue, out of nowhere, on my Instagram, I made a comment that was as follows: from K2 underscore whomever. I saw you talking about me on TikTok. Lucky13, which is the creator's name. I put that comment on, kind of like, of course, yeah, poking fun and doing a satiric joke towards this Emma individual. I saw you talking is because people usually fear what they don't understand, and they fear what they are pretty much kind of but they're not really feared. It's just that they're allowing themselves to be possessed by some dimwit saying, "Oh, these witches, we're gonna burn them at the stake. They are abominations." And then he just goes on a yelling, "He who font madman, prophet gone mad" message, and it doesn't. At least to me, it doesn't make sense to keep listening to somebody who goes, "If you're a Democrat, you're not a Christian." Cupcake. Where's your BS degree? Let me see it. Do you have any kind of degree in biblical studies? You don't? So why are you preaching and making that part of your profession? Saying you're a professional in biblical studies when you're bringing political stuff into it, which has nothing to do with sharing biblical messages. That's political. You're stupid. Give me your BS degree. Rip it in half. Yeah, and it's so simple to do, but they rather just allow themselves to be possessed by dimwits. So this thing found my Instagram and commented on one of my videos, and it said, "I saw you talking about me on TikTok, Lucky13." Lucky13 was the creator's name. "And I saw you talking about me on TikTok." Well, for one, who are you? I don't even know who you is. How can I talk about you if I don't even know who you are? Because I don't know who K2 underscore random numbers is. I don't know who that is. You saw me talking about you. How can I do that if I don't know your name? How can I, even make a joke about you if I don't even know that's you? With it. Then proceed follows. I command thee to come out of him now, in the name of Jesus Christ. Demons flee at the name of Jesus Christ. I responded as follows. Honey bear, don't embarrass yourself. By the way, show me your BS degree allowing you to do exorcisms. Come on, let's see that BS degree. Still no response. And this happened about 3 hours ago after I responded. Still no response. So no BS degree. I'm sorry. You trying to make me do exercise it's not very effective. Oopsie. So, by the way, telling a Lilithian, trying to force a Lilithian to do something, I hope you know that's really not going to work. And you might learn the hard way not to do that. Oops. Well, besides, because I just love making people become butts of the jokes for acting stupid. Command thee. Okay, who's thee? Who's thee? Thee who? Out of him now. And besides, Jesus Christ. Well, I don't know how you tell you this, but some dead religious figure doesn't do jack shit. Yep, that's that guy's name, but you're using his name to have me do exercise? Sorry, it's not very effective. Command? Sorry, I can't. No. In fact, you know what? If you're going to be trying to do something, why not just do it yourself and say, by my own will? That'd be a bit more impressive instead of relying on a figure. Besides, if you want to be extra technical, doesn't it say, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Thou shalt not have any idols before me. Commandment number 2. Why is Christ being put there? That's an idol in front of God. Oops! And before someone says, well, Christ is actually God incarnate. Yeah, okay. But it's not pure God himself. It's a physical incarnation. It's not God himself. You're using Christ as an idol. With it. No others before me. Okay, other. Well, Christ is another. Yep. Oops. Besides, you want to be extra even more like mind-bogglingly, whoa. Why is Catholicism praying to and using canonized saints as idols too? Praying to one of them, you're using them as an idol. Oops! Patron saint of insert quality here. Oops! That's idolizing. Oopsie doopsie. Hey, don't look at me. I didn't write this stuff. That's just what it is. No other gods before me? Okay. Well, the funny thing is, technically it doesn't say goddesses, so I guess goddesses are okay to be in front of you. Okay, ladies, take the reign. So Lilith stands in front of him. Oops. It didn't say goddesses. Bamboozled. So you can't have gods before? Okay, whatever. Okay, goddesses, take your step in front of Yahweh. Bamboozled. Don't look at me, I didn't write it. By technicality, that's what it says. Oops. And it's not an idol because it's a divine being. A goddess. That's a divine being. Oops. That's having the understanding of like how the alchemical process works, especially with mental alchemy and using logical reasoning. This is the beauty of taking something, completely disarming it, and then taking the pieces and slapping the dim one in the face with. To me, it's actually really satisfying. Like, oh, you're going to throw the commandments at me? Well, for one, you can't even use them because the New Testament just completely abolished them. Old Testament gets thrown out the window only for historical references. And you have to use the New Testament. Nope, that's what the New Testament is there for. Don't go back to the old and using it to brandish as a weapon, or even use it at all, just for only historical uses only. There's one. But abortions and all that. That's against God's will. If it's against God's will, then how come he's actually telling a priest how to do an abortion, giving him the guidance on it? Oopsie doopsie doo. Minor detail. Whoopsie. Okay, now the saints. Now this goes to like regarding any kind of a saint, including Saint Lazarus, Saint Saint Bar Saint Barbara, or there's another one, and Saint Martha. But now Santa Marta and Saint Martha have somewhat similar qualities, but they are very different. Saint Martha was actually believed to be Our Lady Mary's sister, while Santa Marta actually yields from, I believe, somewhere in the around, and I can't remember exactly which island it is, around the Caribbean. I can't remember exactly, but it's very close to Voodoo and somewhere around there. But Santa Marta is actually the one who manifests as a snake, a naga. And if you want to talk about intimidation, Santa Marta, oh, good Lord, Landon, don't. Oh. Yeah. While Saint Martha does have that, man dominating, controlling, and kind of a little bit strict and setting the record straight. In comparison, Santa Marta and Saint Martha do sometimes interlap, but they go about things completely differently. Santa Marta just goes in a more like, oh God, in a more kind of striking more terror than anything, while Saint Martha is more dignified, to best put it. I mentioned Saint Lazarus. There's also Saint Saint Delphine, I think. I believe Delphine's the one that had her eyes removed, and she's able to see. And like, there's a certain ritual or working or prayer that you do to be able to see what needs to be seen. There's also a patron saint for Bartholo and, well, this one counts as two, Bartholomew and I can't remember the other guy's name, but they were the patron saints of gay men and those who were afflicted with AIDS, HIV, and essentially the way that the story went, Barbados and crap, I can't remember the other guy's name, but essentially they were really deep lovers with each other and really close to one another. But when one of them got afflicted with AIDS, they had to be taken to a different city altogether, away from the mass population, to avoid afflicting anyone else. So while that one was being taken away, the other refused to not be close to him. So he actually went to where the other was being taken to and stuck by his side, and he got afflicted too. And he essentially stayed with his other up until his death from the affliction. And upon his death, he actually went to live in a tree. He carved in a place to just lay down in. And he just laid there and he just passed away that way. He didn't eat, he didn't intake anything. He just put himself in a tree and just laid there and pretty much just wasted away. And he was so deep in depression that that's what ended up killing him. And from that, I mean, you can definitely see from that point of view, like, holy crap. When you have someone being like, oh, you have this very, very debilitating and pretty life-threatening illness, I'm not going anywhere. Even if I have to get afflicted with it, bring it. I'm not leaving you. That's why both of them, Barthelo and I can't remember the other guy's name right now, but that's why both of them got canonized for that. And now canonized now, in my opinion, a canonization really, again, at least in my opinion, a canonization is kind of an opinionated, like establishing a figure over something based on the church's standards. Because I'll just say this much: there are a lot of people that even did superior things and really great things that weren't canonized, and should be. Martin Luther King Jr. is the first one that pops into my head. Let's see, what's another one? Probably the ones who marched on Stonewall and actually really pushed for same-gendered love and marriage and equality rights in that manner. None of them are going to be canonized for that, based on my knowledge. Number 3, Susan B. Anthony, women's suffrage. I mean, she put herself and endured a lot of cruelty. She didn't get canonized. Advocate for women's right and treatment, and fair pay and fair chance and everything. She didn't get canonized. She should have, though. Because having an establishment say that you lived a good life and thereby you're going to be deemed a figure that's going to be remembered and seen as a nobility, to me, why is somebody else's opinion going to matter if the person did what they wanted to do with their full intent and full focus onto it? And if they actually lived their life to their best, that doesn't need to have somebody else's expectation. Because the only person that knows if they're doing their best or not is the self. Because nobody else can see or know what your real full potential is. Only you know this is as far as I can go. I can go farther. I can't. Only you know. 100% only you know. And if somebody says otherwise, like, oh, well, you can do so much better. How do you know? How do you know that I can do so much better? If I'm literally having an asthma attack and I can't breathe and I can't run another mile. How can I do better if I physically am limited to not be able to breathe to even do it? How can I do better? Do I keep going and, get ready to shake hands with hell? Time to go over. No. Because really the only standards anyone should seek to meet are just their own. And the thing that I'd love to say, you can have any kind of degree or any kind of level of education. You could even have a doctorate in any subject. Any subject, literally. Any subject you can think of from anything that's teachable. You can have any of them. But if you're stupid, you're stupid. If you have a doctorate in medicine, but you act like a dimwit and a twathead and you risk the well-being of your patients, you're a dimwit and a risk and a twathead. And it should not be practicing medicine if you're putting the well-being of your patients' lives at risk. Oops. Or this one's my personal favorite. My personal favorite, more like, don't let someone this stupid practice medicine because they can't make a sound decision. So there's this girl, I can't remember in which state she was in. She was supposed to be getting a certain type of care or treatment for a condition she has. But the condition that she had and their way of treating it supposedly was going to be causing a hindrance or preventing her to be able to bear children. So the doctor that was presiding over her treatment said that they would not provide the treatment or give the medication required because she's still of childbearing age. I mean, the minute I heard that, I just wanted to say, what has that got to do with her health and well being? She has an affliction that she needs treated. She's in pain and suffering. You think saying this an excuse that she's childbearing age is good enough to not to provide any kind of care? So essentially, what you're indirectly saying is, I'm not going to give you treatment because of a political standpoint that completely has nothing to do with the situation at hand. So patient neglect, splendid. Give me your medical license. Ripped. Out. Done. If you're allowing your political BS to go in and prevent your patient from being treated and cared for based on the complaint, and if you're willingly choosing not to treat it or provide some form of support or help them get to where they need to be to get treated, you're purposely choosing patient neglect. And you're choosing to ignore the complaint of needed care, thus showing that you don't need to have your medical license because you don't know how to use it properly. Give it. Just because somebody is the age of bearing children, that's not an excuse to deny care. Even if it impacts the ability to conceive and bear children, that's not good enough. Sorry, that's not a good enough excuse. Actually, just to show how stupid that sounds. That'd be like me saying, "Well, doctor, you're wearing these really big, doofy, nerdy, goofy glasses, and I think that makes you look stupid. And I'm thinking that just because of those glasses you're wearing, I think I'm going to just assume everything you're saying is complete shit. So any kind of real evidence you say, nah, I can't believe it because of those stupid, nerdy glasses." Yeah, you see how stupid that sounds? That's exactly the same level of stupidity. Don't look at me. I mean, heck, it's not that hard to be like, oh, you need this treatment and this is the best care for it. Okay, then let's get this taken care of then. But no, we had to be all like, well, this could prevent you to have children. Pain because of condition. Need medical treatment because of it. The last thing that's concerned about is bearing a child. It's going to cause a hindrance to it? That's cute. I don't care. Pain. Get rid of it. Debilitating pain at that. Get rid of it. You're not gonna? Okay, patient neglect. By choice. That's indirectly what it's saying. And when you're providing medical care or you're in the medical profession, you don't neglect your patient. You don't do it. Because that's the easiest way to be like, medical license, please. Now you're barred from practicing medicine for life. Don't whiff it. It's so simple to do. It's so simple to, have an understanding and seeing that somebody's in a state of distress and pain or some kind of medical complication and taking the initiative to assure their well-being. It's not that hard to do that. It's really not. But if you're going to be choosing to not do a procedure because of something completely irrelevant to the problem, you shouldn't be practicing medicine. Don't care if you're an MP, have your doctorate in any kind of in the specific type of medical field. Don't give no damn. If you're neglecting your patient, you're still neglecting your patient. Don't make it complicated. Provided some kind of care or support or guidance on how to, stop this pain or redirect to someone who can help. Yes or no? No? Patient neglect. And as we all know, that's the way I think. Cutthroat, point blank. But for some reason, some people like to make it extra complicated. I even like when I use the spirit box, when they get out of line, I just tell them, like, hey, you're not going to be acting like this. Do you understand? Yes or no? And every time that they say something that's not yes or no, I just keep Snapping. That's not an answer. That's not an answer. Yes or no. I'll say it again. Have them go through that. Have me put them through that. These people that like to be like open-winded and not just say yes or no, just to keep it simple. Neglect your patient and not provide care that was needed or do something to help them? Yes or no? Did you do it or not do it? Yes, you did it or no, you didn't? Well, that's not an answer. Yes or no? Did you do it or not? Yes or no? Well, I'm trying to say, nope, that's not an answer. Did you do it or not? Don't make it complicated. Did you give the treatment needed or did you not give it? Yes or no? Well, I'm trying to, nope, that's not an answer. Yes or no? I'm trying to make this idiot proof, and you seem to be too much of an idiot to figure it out. I don't even know how else to make it more idiot proof. You provided care or you didn't. Don't give me any fancy woozy woo because care I do not have. Did you do it or not? No, I didn't. Good. That wasn't so hard, was it? Patient neglect. Give me your license. Because really, that's sometimes how some things have to be point blank idiot proof to the point where it's just like, if you're going to keep coming up with answers that are just like, you have a choice, yes or no. There's no middle, yes or no. Every time you don't pick one and try to go right down the middle, you're going to whack your head against the wall. And then you're going to be told, pick one. And you keep whacking yourself in the head in the center path because there's no path there. You're going to give yourself a mental concussion. But yep, that's human stupidity for you. Oh, God. Do you have a secret admirer? I just got an email saying that. I'm like, please, I hope not. I don't want to have one of those. Because of their secret. Okay, well, they don't exist to me then. Because of their staying anonymous and a secret. Well, sorry. They don't exist. Oh, since it's quiet, I'm going to. Yeah. Yep, I don't want to have one of those. Because to me, it's just like, oh, I have an admirer that's remaining anonymous and a secret. Okay, doesn't exist to me. Because if I don't know their name, how do I know they exist? Or who they are? If I don't know who it is. As far as I know, it could be like some kind of practical joke. I don't mean to be a romantic woozy woo buzzkill, but no name, not interested, non existent. I know it's not fair, but really, yes. And yep, we're using the seduction of shadows. Oh, and it's still fresh in my head. Question. Well, pretty much you say the situation, like the situation at hand, and pretty much whatever the situation is, and whatever card comes out, at least for this deck, is essentially how Lilith is telling you how to respond to it or go about it, or the message with the card kind of being in line with the solution or insight about it. But that thought in my head. On TikTok, there's there are these people that are being like practice police, saying that this is closed, Lilith's closed. You can't work with her if you're not Jewish. Honey bear, number one, you're trying to restrict Lilith. That's not going to work. That is not going to work. You cannot detain her. You cannot restrict her. You cannot put her in a corner. You know why? Because, well, look what happened with Yahweh. He was embarrassed and made a fool. Because she was like, oh, no. So, no, you can't close her, too. She's not Jewish, by the way. She's primordial. Meaning that she's essentially a part of nature's, like, a part, like a fragment of existence. Yep. And even also, speaking of that dragon, depending on, like, if you look at different cultures, such as like in Asian cultures with what's her name, Daji from Chinese mythology. That's actually that's Lilith's incarnation in China, and that's the form she took as the nine-tailed fox demoness. That's one. Another one is Queen Jezebel. That was another one. But then again, Queen Jezebel really was not this horrible figure that, the biblicals were like, oh my gosh, she's a harlot. And if she puts on makeup, oh, she's evil. Ooh. Why you now here's my question. Why are you making it a big hissy fit about a woman putting on makeup? Well, why is that a big hissy fit? Well, it's not her real face. Do you have a problem with her expressing herself and she's just using her face as the canvas? And you're making it seem like it's some kind of witchcraft, but she's only doing it because she wants to present herself that way? Because that's just what she wants to do? You're calling it the devil's work? And when I say the devil, I'm meaning like, the stereotypical kind of denomination based on what they use it for. So you're demonizing a queen who wore makeup because it wasn't her real face. And probably one of the biggest things you hit her about? Well, for one, if you're threatened by, a woman just making herself appear in a certain way, how's that affecting you? It's not affecting you, but you're purposely making something to bitch about and hissy fit about. Oh my gosh, she's wearing that certain blue eyeshadow. Oh god, she's doing witchcraft. You know how stupid that sounds, right? In fact, instead of putting her down, why not compliment? That would do so much better, but what do I know? Is it Oz? Oz? I'm not familiar with that. Honey Bear, I would rather say unique. And if you want to actually know why I said in the dark, it's because, well, being heavily Saturnian, and Saturn represents the darkness, well, that kind of, fits. And besides, most of the real potential of anything is in the dark. And besides, by technicality, what is normal? Because being normal is opinionated. What's this person's normal may be the frickles this. It might be my version of eccentricity. And there's some people that would say like the same thing vice versa. My normal is to them very eccentric and kind of different. And that's the beauty about human beings. We're all completely different, yet in one way similar. Okay. All right, Kayla, what does she need to show more? Let's see what comes out of this. Oh. And I have to say, I probably have almost cut myself like 5 times with this deck because of just the silver edging. Me, I'm 29. I'm going to be 30 within 10 to 9 days. Yeah, 30. Don't remind me of that. So, Kayla, this one's going to be a different way of answering your question. So, what do you need to show more? Instead of saying show more, what you need to actually expose yourself to more is more restoration, more healing, and more mending of yourself. And with this depiction, you see Lilith right there sitting down like this. And if you notice that the shadow is pretty much like coming around her to like nurture her, because this is actually part of the scene shortly after her children being murdered, and she is in that stage of like pretty much regaining herself and getting the strength to go back to Eden and getting her revenge. So this is probably best to actually really say expose yourself to different ways of treating your challenges, be it depression, self-esteem issues. And I don't like saying coping mechanisms because I hear coping mechanisms or coping skills, and I think sometimes coping doesn't help because it's usually sometimes the environment that's the problem, not the person. And if there are certain techniques that have not worked, and if people are still pushing them on you, Kayla, just don't even get their advice anymore, because if it's not working, it's not working. Don't let their advice come back again. Because only you know what's going to make you feel better. You can get other people's opinions, but if you know that, well, what makes me feel better is if I'm reading something, learning something, hearing a certain kind of music, hearing certain songs, even having like a nice relaxing bath, swimming in water, looking up and just gazing out into the sky, whatever brings you stability, you know what brings you stability and what can mend you the best. Of course, again, side note, if there's like a medicinal emergency, of course, use your head. Doctors and medical professionals who actually legit know what they're doing and do take their job seriously, of course, they're going to be more of importance. But really focus on exposing yourself to other ways to mend yourself and healing yourself. Well, I'm very flattered, but one problem though, I already have a significant other, and I've had him since 2010. So I appreciate the flattery, but don't really expect much from me because yeah, I'm kind of devoted to him since then. So just making that a nice disclaimer. I'm still waiting on that. Because I mean, when I put in the approval for like the tuck box, it took them about a week or so. So just that might be as long as it takes. In other cultures too, going back to like about other cultures that Lilith was indirectly involved in, but with just a different name. Let's see, Aradia from Roman mythology, which is also deemed to be Hecate's equivalent in Greek mythology. Aradia was actually known to be one of the names of Lilith. And since Aradia is the equivalent to Hecate, by somewhat reasoning, Perhaps maybe even Hecate may be an aspect of Lilith. Potentially. It may, but it's a potential. I'm not saying that it is. But Aradia was actually known for protecting and actually teaching and advising witches in their craft. You could say, yeah, you could say Sekhmet too, somewhat to an extent. But then again, the way that Lilith works in. Now with that, I can't really confirm or say because I don't know much about Roman mythology. But the thing that I did come across. Well, there's when combating and being able to not sleep because of insomnia or any kind of lack of ability to sleep. So you can either do number one, you can either inhale lavender. You can also inhale the scent of jasmine, lavender. Don't know if you have this one. Blue lotus would be another one. Clary sage. Any of the chamomiles. You can also inhale tulsi, holy basil. You can also use myrtle, any myrtle, not just the common one. Marjoram too. But if you don't have that, then plan B would actually be use or have a really faint music or sound going on in the background that's really lulling or soothing. Well, if I did say that, did I really say that or did you not hear me? Now, hibiscus, well, as a plant, well, hibiscus is a flower that's energetically very extravagant, really out there, really lively, and really exciting. But if you find that it's actually really sleep provoking, the best way to put it, if that's the case, then that would be probably the best. That'd be another option for you to use. But generally, hibiscus is a flower that's really bright, really out there, really loud, and really vibrant. So it's really good at like for attraction work, beauty work, more more passive come to me work, and not really pushy because it's just naturally vibrant. It would work well with like Damiana too, but Damiana is a little bit more in comparison to hibiscus. Well, hibiscus is more out there, like a big burst, while Damiana is more like a burst and yeah, the scent goes out, grabs and pulls, while hibiscus just extravagance, best put it. And when you have worked with plants for a long time, you can kind of see and intuitively know like their qualities and what they can actually do for someone generally, because not every plant's going to be reacting the same to everybody. But because not every plant's going to react the same, that doesn't mean no. Go grab some oleander and put it in your mouth. Don't do that. Oleander is an extremely toxic plant. Simply just touching it, you can get rashes, and you can probably get sick. That's how potent the toxicity of oleander is. But it's a beautiful floral bush, but it is extremely poisonous. That's why, for me, once in a while, when I do actually use parts of the oleander plant. I always work less. But what can you use a poisonous plant like that for? Protection work. Because the thing is, are you going to go anywhere near or touch something that's like extremely toxic? No, you're not. So what I like to do is actually, with the flowers of the oleander plant, make a circle around whatever I'm doing the working on and using sympathetic magic for. Make a ring of like red roses, and then slightly in front of them, put like a more not as tight of a circle, because like how rose petals or rosebuds just going around a lot of them, and then just being more loosely with the oleander flowers around. Yeah, because the oleander flowers is also going to have a part of deception being part of the working too, because well, pretty flower, touch it, sick. And then you have the regular rose in the center, causing that awareness of like, oh, there's a lot of roses over here. So then this must be a rose too, right? Nope, you're poisoned. It's a protective measure that I've done. Do I recommend people do it? Well, I can't recommend people use poisonous and toxic plants in their work because there's always that risk. So use your head. Well, I wouldn't say glamour, but more like deception work. Because glamour is trying to make your appearance be changed for a positive influence, if that makes sense. Yeah, bamboo, that's a good one. Because bamboo also is tough, sturdy, and I mean, some of the training shinais from Japan, when they actually use those shinais to train with, they're made out of bamboo. And I think I might actually have my shinai on it. Let me see if I have my shinai. Oh, there it is. Here we go. Going back to my youth a little bit. Oops, something fell and I don't give a damn. So, I take these off so I don't break them. So, a shinai here. The only thing missing on this thing is the guard, because the guard broke off because this thing is older than dirt. No, it's missing. But yeah, I had this thing since my teen years. So this is a shinai, and this is bamboo. And essentially, the way that my instructor taught me whenever I was like practicing or doing certain stances. Here, let me fix the camera a little bit. Essentially, if I did not have my leg bent just enough, or if I was on the right stance, instructor would just walk by and go, "Oh, that leg's not bent." Yeah, whack. Yep, because this is not only a training weapon; it's also a disciplinary tool. Oh, if your leg's not bent, fix it. Oh, your hand's not straight. Whack. Well, I'm not planning on actually whacking anybody, but just to show, like, this was one of the things that's actually made of bamboo, because this is legit bamboo. Yeah. And actually, one of the things that my instructor actually did too, when we were learning how to do like a shin block, which is when someone throws a kick. When you block like this, they'll actually kick your shin, and it's actually going to cause more harm to them than you. But the thing is, in order for you to actually get this to also not hurt you when blocking like this, there's only one way to toughen it. Whack, whack. Either you kick something like a tree over and over again, or you get whacked with a shinai, or you just keep getting repeatedly exposed to it, feeling the pain. Then you numb it. I trained since the age of, see, I believe I started when I was 12, and I pretty much stayed up until I had to focus on my studies for high school. And so it was about 6 to 7 years, prox. I mean, I'm out of practice to be honest, but I mean, some things I still remember how to do, like muscle memory. But every competition that I went to, I don't have all my trophies at home here, but I at least placed higher, at least third or higher. What style? Well, that's another interesting topic about it, because the way that my instructor taught me and some of the other technically first students to actually be there, what he ended up doing was actually teach us each a kind of like a unique style that was best fit for our physical body and all that, and like our structure and all that. So my instructor taught like this other guy that was around my age. He taught him more like the more traditional karate and more of a, I don't want to say brute force, but more of a more physically for demanding and like punches and more stiffness, if that makes sense. Essentially that's what he was being taught. Then there's me, who is the polar opposite, and my instructor actually ended up teaching me things such as Kung Fu, a little bit of Capoeira. I could not really do Capoeira. Now I couldn't do it because I'm not as as flexible as I once was. And if you don't know Capoeira, essentially Capoeira is a Brazilian martial arts that essentially you take breakdancing, now you use that and you hit people with it. That's the easiest way I can describe it. Capoeira is breakdancing, but kicking people and hitting people in the face. Yeah, that's Capoeira in a nutshell. But then again, he did teach like some of the foundations of Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, Aikido. I did I say well? Did I say Judo? The what's actually also known as the gentle way. Um, I know I said Aikido, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. The knee block was Muay Thai. What else? Kickboxing, but for me, I don't like the idea of just boxing because when you're teaching someone a fighting style, if you just limit them to boxing, you're taking away pretty close to 75% of their potential and what they can do. Don't get me wrong, if a good boxer can, punch good. But the minute that you have a boxer go from punching, it's swept, now he's on the ground. Now how is he going to defend himself on the ground? He doesn't have any jiu-jitsu or ground experience. Or even simply, one of the things I love to do. Someone throws a punch coming right, just grab a hold of the wrist, lift upward, down they go. And then you just use the wrist and you just bend it back. And essentially, that's an easy way to make any grown man be like, yes, I'll listen. Just hold him down like that and then just flip the hand backwards. Just like that. Because that's a way a joint is not supposed to bend. You can even just do it with one finger. Bend it back. Yeah, they're going to listen. They'll be more than happy to comply to make you stop doing that. Because Aikido, it is one of my favorites. Aikido is completely reliant on the opponent. Depending on how they swing, like even if it's like a simple swing like that, and as soon as you twist down that way, because you're going underneath, you're pushing up the elbow, rolling it, and then you're bending the hand. they're going to be wanting to comply and say, please let go of my arm and my hand, you're going to break them. Aikido pretty much says, how can I completely cripple my opponent with the least amount of effort? Give me a finger. Yeah, that's going to make anybody say, please stop. Getting hold of a finger, twist, lift, or worse, twist backwards the other way, bring it straight down. But for me, primarily, I was given all the Gong Fu and the more. And in fact, because of the mixed martial arts training, if you're familiar with kata, that's occultic. Like for an example. Now, where's the other one? I gotta find my other one. Hold on. I got one. Oh, there's the other. So, for example, a certain kata or a certain set of moves against an invisible man. So when you're doing a kata, your state of awareness is now saying like, okay, where's this invisible man coming from? You're visualizing an invisible opponent coming at you, and you're fighting them off. That's using visualization. So in reality, kata is a good training tool to have your visualizations become more apparent, if that makes sense. And I mean, this was before when I was starting my training back at the age of 12. I didn't even do any occult back then because I didn't even know it was possible or it existed then. But yes. And also, when it comes to actually like certain types of workings that actually can incorporate that. Yep. And actually, the last Airbender actually shows probably, if not one of the most crystal clear ways of actually doing energetic work and visualizations and brings them together. For an example, simply just going like a simple roll the wrist and push, bring in energy, send it out. Visualizing energy coming up and then sending it out. Or even another one. This is going to look so kind of like, what? Really? But yeah. Something you believe someone's putting a curse or a hex on you? Nope. Slap it away, deflect. But you had to visualize it actually coming towards you. Nope. Because in existence, everything that exists and that you acknowledge, you can target and influence it. Will it work? I don't know. That depends on you if you can or not. I'm not you. But anything that exists and you can acknowledge, you can target it and affect it. So if you believe that someone's putting a hex or curse on you, target the hex and curse and nope. And also with the way what's his name from Inuyasha? Crap, what's his name? What is that monk's name? The pervert with the stick. Like always kept, getting a little bit too out of line with Songo. What was his name? Crap, what was his name? Crap, what is that monk's name? Black and purple, carries a stick with rings on it, has an earring, has the ability wind tunnel, I think. I think that's what it's called, but it doesn't look like a wind tunnel. It's just like a big void in his hand. Crap, what's his name? Inuyasha. I can't remember that monk's name. Crap, what is his name? It's gonna drive me nuts. I used to be like a big Inuyasha Woozy Woo fan, and I can't even remember that pervert's name. Crap. Damn it, I thought I had it. That was it. Moroku. Essentially, he was like making like the seals on the little slabs of paper, sticking them on people or things as like a protection or a binding. That's actually using sigil magic. And upon him placing it, he activates them. And you can do the exact same thing too within the real stuff too. For example, in fact, here you really don't need. You even don't even need to have something like this, a brush, or even a pen or a marker. All you really need is your finger. But still, say you want to protect something, but you don't want it to be obvious that there's something on it. Here. Say for example, say if I wanted to have, give me this thing. Give it. Say if I wanted to have this snow quartz be protected and deter people from taking it, and if somebody else besides me touches it, they're going to wish that they didn't because it'll have an abnormal effect and make them sick. So essentially, what I would do, again, you really just need your finger, but just to make it a little bit more fancy woozy, I'm going to use a paintbrush. Just look at the target, have in your mind what you want to have be put into effect. But then when you're having the thought, say it repeatedly in your head, and then after you say it a few times, like an internal mantra, and then actually say, upon contact with my finger or this, upon contact, that what I draw becomes the intention of the intention you've been saying over and over in your head, and then you just make whatever symbol you deem fit. And as soon as you pick up your brush, it's activated. So that way, so now this stone actually now has an invisible mark on it that actually says, if it's not me touching it, they're not going to be feeling so good. It's kind of like I like to kind of use my own terms with it, but it's kind of like booby trapping something. Like say if you have something that you don't want someone to take and is really important to you, you can booby trap it by saying, okay, symbol and sigil on it. Someone tries to take it. Oh, I feel deathly ill. I just touched this and I don't feel so good. I feel like my heart's racing. You can do that. You can even also make it, I don't know if I should mention that. I don't know if I should mention that one. I don't know if I should. Because that might, make some people break some things and kind of, I don't know about that one. I don't know if I should. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. That definitely will happen if I don't say it. I'll put it this way. Literally anything can be bound by a seal if you say that the seal does so. Anything and any being can. And I mean anything. Will it work? That depends on you and how much energy and effort you put into it. But is it possible? Yes. Do I suggest you going around and binding spiritual beings? Not if you know your stuff. Well, don't. But you can bind, say, the angelics. You can do that if you really want to be trolly. Oh no, Yahweh, looks like you're bound. You're putting time out. Oops. Go in your corner. Sit. Nope, you're gonna sit and stick it. You're silent for 1,000 years. You can do that. I mean, if the demonic can be bound, so can they. I forgot that's a secret. Damn it. Oh well. You know what they say about secrets? They all come out sometime. Yep. So. Just a second. Yep. Let's get the spirit box going to finish things off. Okay. Right ID, other side. You may commence your shenanigans. Oh boy, here we go. Oh wait. Who cares? Yep, you can speak now. Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. What? Are you making fun of me because I can't reproduce being, one of them, rainbow ones? Don't be hating. Believe what? One more time. Can you repeat that? Could you repeat that? Now, don't be doing this again, honey bear. Please don't. Good. But don't do it. Don't tell me okay and then still do it. Whoosh. What do you play basketball or used to? You're sick. What's your affliction? What's your affliction? Are you moping? Are you crying? What's the issue? What's the issue, Cupcake? Bombarded with what shit? Sheesh. Oh, that's a bit point blank. Okay. What do you go by? Name, please. Mervin? Just checking to make sure I heard correctly. Mervin is the name? Object? But you're not an object. You're not a thing. Well, I don't know what your name is, so how can I help if I don't know who you are? Aren't you just hysterical? And there's a lot of things I want too, but unfortunately I can't get them, so I know how it feels, Cupcake. Well, for one, how am I going to give you that when there's nothing physical to give it to? And there's nothing to feel, so I'm sorry, honey, that's not going to work. Clever, but very clever. I heard that. Don't be whispering. Yes, I'm still listening. Cupcake, don't whisper. You ain't slick. Honey Bear, we've been through this already. How am I going to do that if there's nothing physical to go into? That's not going to work. Don't cat. Honey Bear, don't catcall me. I heard your whistle. It's not very effective.
35%.
Nope. What? Snipers. Are you trying to woozy woo me with it? Because, well, for one, I can't see it, so I don't believe you. Two, how am I supposed to know it's stable? It's not attached to me. Wah wah. Speaking a different language is not going to do anything to help you. You have your own head. Use yours, not mine. Milkshake. What did I tell you about being extremely unnecessarily loud like that? Don't do it. Do you understand? Yes or no? That's not an answer. Yes or no? You understand not to make a loud, obnoxious, unnecessary noises like that again. Do you understand? Yes or no? At least in my space, you're not allowed to. Understood? Yes or no?
Giving void.
Nope, that's not an answer. Yes or no? That's not an answer. Nope, that's not an answer. Yes or no? Yes or no? That's your only options. Yes or no? You get it or you don't get it. Yes or no? Keep it simple. That's not an answer.
Skype.
Nope, that's not an answer, and I'm not going to Skype you. Answer the question. Yes or no? You understand not to do it in my space. Yes or no? That's not an answer. Nope, that's not an answer. That's not an answer, and Cupcake, don't you tempt me. Don't embarrass, Honey Bear, don't embarrass yourself in the spiritual world. Please don't do that. I'm saying this, in actually concern for you too. Don't embarrass yourself. Yep, you're going the wrong way, right, Cupcake, so use your head. Non-answer. Yes or no? Don't whisper under your breath. I heard that. Boo-hoo. My space, my rules. Piss it and go. None of you have to be here, by the way. So you can go if you don't like being here.
Sure.
Toodaloo then. Nope, don't speak. Scram. If you want to come back in, you can ask. Fine, you can.
It's a club.
You're not taking me to no club. Don't try and woozy woo me when I allow you to come back in. Are you sure you're done? Okay then, toodaloo then. See you whenever we do another one of these again. Yeah. But in all honesty, the way that I interact and speak to spirits like that, the way that I was doing it, is the exact same way, like if I was actually Um, it's different because the tones of the voice, I I can kind of like pinpoint and kind of like link some voices together with one same one. But then there's also another one. But uh, the way that I responded and interacted with them, if I was like going on supposedly like a paranormal investigation or going somewhere where it's heavily haunted and paranormal activity and stuff like that, I would be acting the exact same way as I was just now. Like, say, for example, oh, something just flew off and just hit the wall. Cupcake, why'd you throw that? Why you? Well, what's the issue? Why are you hissy fitting? So now you just pushed over a table and knocked it over. Is there something wrong? Do you need help with something? Is something troubling you? And don't get too close to me. Respect my space, Cupcake. Yeah, I like to keep it simple and have no nonsense. Or like how I was making that obnoxious, loud, sudden noise, to kind of give like a shock factor. That's actually a tactic that's used to have someone get into a fearful state and have their energy go up. Then they siphon off it. So I mean, if it tries to, if any of them try that, I mean, I know what they're trying to do, and they get the same response like, "Nope, don't pull that." Because the same thing that I tell people with what they're having any kind of spiritual or astral connection or relation or interacting with any of them, they are essentially equal to you as another person. Treat them as if they were a person in front of you physically. If they're throwing a hissy fit and throwing and breaking things, call them out on and say, "Why are you throwing a hissy fit and breaking stuff? What's the issue?" Don't push the table over. Now you can go and pick it up. Now you're going to try and have it be thrown towards me. If you're going to be swinging at someone who's trying to help you, you're not into a hissy fit. You're just plain stupid. Stop hissy fitting. And a good majority of the time, too, entities that are acting like that, they do not like being called out, and they don't like being shown the reality of their chaotic and destructive behavior. That's unnecessary. Some even take it as a big offense, like, "Did you just call out my behavior? Who do you think you are? A human being. Just because you're a dead person doesn't mean you're anything better or higher than me. If anything, you're still an equal. So stop being stupid. Stop hissy fit. Stop making a big hot mess." Well, I'm gonna just throw this picture frame at you. Why do you always have to keep throwing stuff? Why can't you just take a moment and just do some self-reflecting and try and figure out what's making me be so upset and causing havoc? Because that actually help you not have to keep doing this hissy fitty thing for as long as you have. But what do I know? I'm not dead. That's just like the not necessarily, because usually a ghost is a focused form of energy that's kind of stuck in a repeating cycle based on a certain event that had a lot of energetic influence behind it. Like, for example, like say down south in a location where there was a battle of the like part of the Civil War, and in this location there were like instances of people seeing Confederate soldiers in their attire and their uniform with their guns patrolling. Those are ghosts, because that's focused energy. That's also those passed on individuals that aren't aware that they're passed on, and they're still doing the same repeating cycle over and over and over again. And essentially, you could technically say they're earthbound because they're so fixated on it that they can't comprehend their way of getting out of it. But now, those are completely different. Somewhat, yeah. Some may have the awareness of them being in this cycle, but choosing not to change it. Then there are some who are still completely oblivious to it. Usually, when you have something like say for an example, you have somebody who was like put through a lot of torture and like murdered in a really disturbing way. They may not be able to comprehend what's going on around them because the traumatic event that happened to them is so intense that their awareness becomes stuck in it, so they can't comprehend it. While there are some that may still have some form of attachment to this plane. It could be to a person, object, or a place or location that they're so attached to it, but they're aware that they're passed on, but they don't want to leave behind whatever they're still attached to. You can usually see the most common form of that, like when you have someone and their significant other and one of them passes away. The significant other that passed away actually sticks with the person, if that makes sense. And over time, but it also depends on how aware the other person is too, because if they're completely oblivious, they may not pick up that their significant other is on the other side, supporting them and guiding them. They're just not able to comprehend the messages. There are some that can. And by technicality, really there is, even in death, can't really do part because the attachment can be so strong that they don't go. They can be that potent. Till death, not do nobody no part, because sometimes not even death itself can actually like separate. That's just the potential. But anyway, it's now 9 o'clock. I'm going to be taking my leave, wind down, and tomorrow I'll see what we'll go on about tomorrow. I was thinking about doing like a video for like certain gemstones, crystals for each ascendant in astrology that can be used for remedial measures, and using the houses and the signs where they're placed to actually take a certain stone for a certain ascendant for a certain affliction that's going on in that part of the body, and using that specific gemstone with Vedic astrology gemstone remedial measures to actually help combat that. That was one idea, but we'll see how that works tomorrow.